8:30 a.m. The date is May 21st, 2024. This is the second day of the public hearing on docket number 2024-02027 involving Southeast Garbage LLC's application for a Class D certificate of the Public Service Commission necessity. Commission and its staff again appearing at Baker, Montana in the Fallon Medical Complex. Commissioner Bukacek and Commissioner Fielder attending the hearing remotely. Commission Attorney Dan Foco will again be advising the commission. Commission staff are also present in the room.
Before we head into the other, or continuing with witnesses, wanted to address the outstanding objection about the usage of time. The objection is going to be overruled. However, I would suggest to be very mindful of use of time today. We'll make sure to get to protestants' witnesses tomorrow. And the day today is the last time to present your case in chief. And then we'll turn to the protestants' witnesses tomorrow. However, be mindful that that might cut into time for rebuttal at the end of the hearing. And considering, we got through approximately 14 witnesses yesterday, I just want to remind all parties to be very mindful of the use of time since we only have 3 days scheduled of this hearing. Is there any other matters to discuss prior to your next witness?
Just for clarification on what you said, your expectation is the applicant will have through today and the protestants' case will commence first thing in the morning.
Correct.
Nothing further before witnesses.
Ms. Wasman, call your next witness.
Okay, thank you.
Let's roll.
I would call Fred Barner.
Mr. Bonner, did you swear in already?
Yes.
Thank you, did. Thank you, sir.
Morning.
Good morning.
Could you state your name for the commission?
Fred Barner.
Where do you live?
7940 Highway 12. Baker.
How long have you lived there?
35 years.
And how long have you lived in Baker?
Go away.
Are you married?
Yes.
And what does your spouse do?
She oversees the office with her secretaries.
What is your occupation?
I'm the owner of F&D Oilfield.
Does F&D Oilfield need a garbage service?
Yes.
And what type of service do you need?
We have for our normal garbage in the shop, and what comes off the jobs at times, we have a 20-yard roll.
Do you have a current garbage service provider?
Yes, G&G.
How long have they been doing that?
Since the original owner started it, and then with the new owner, so quite a few years.
Who owns the container?
I do.
How often do you need it picked up?
That varies, usually about every 2 months, but sometimes it's quicker than that. They know what's going on in our business.
How do you arrange pickup?
I tell the secretaries to call in and to get it done.
After you direct them to call, how long does it take to receive the service?
Most of the time, anywhere from a little over a week to 2 weeks.
Have you experienced any problems with the garbage service?
Yeah, they're not consistent.
When did you first notice that problem?
Over a year ago.
Did you report your concerns to G&G?
I reported the concerns to a shareholder of G&G. Told him the issues, told him that, asked him if there was something they could do to get this business better. And I was told there's nothing they could do because G&G won't listen to them. Then in December, end of November, December, we had another issue, same thing. So I called that shareholder back again,
In December of what year?
23.
And when was the first time you spoke to that shareholder?
I would say probably 6 months, 7 months before that. You know, I can't remember for sure.
And in December of 23, what did you,
Same problem. So I just called the shareholder and told him that there was something they could do to get the business squared away and get it going, working the way it's supposed to work. And he told me, you know, I've had about 3 calls on this. And he said, they don't listen to us. And I said, well, there's something I can do. I'm trying to start my own garbage business. You know, if I can get a permit, I'll give this community garbage service that it needs. And he said, well, let me give you the CEO's number. I said, I don't need to talk to your CEO. If he don't listen to you, he ain't gonna listen to me. So he made a phone call. And then he called me back in about 30 minutes and he said he talked to Mike. Mike said to give him 2 weeks and he'd get the service turned around. So I'd already talked to the boys about doing this. They agreed with me. And then we waited. And then in January, when it came out on Facebook about Corey dumping all the garbage in a trailer by hand, I decided that's enough. We're gonna file for a permit and take our chances on getting one and get a garbage business in here that wants to serve this community.
what steps did you take prior to applying for your permit to organize your business?
Well, we applied to PSC for the paperwork. And then when we got the paperwork, we kind of knew what we had to do as far as affidavits. And then from after that, I believe I contacted with you. Then we went around and met with the people, made phone calls the days ahead of time to meet with them, and got their take on it. And, got the affidavits filled out and proceeded from there.
Did you form did Southeast Garbage LLC exist prior to?
Nope, we formed that to get this going.
Okay, and that was for the specific purpose.
Just for this, it did not exist until, because we had to have a company name.
And who are the members of that LLC?
Me and Barry and Chad,
And Barry and Chad are related to you?
they are my sons.
And are you registered with the Secretary of State as a business in Montana?
Yes,
May I approach? I'm handing Mr. Werner what's been marked as Exhibit 7.
Montana Secretary of State Business Energy Report, Southeast Garbage LLC.
And that's what that document is.
Yes,
I would move to admit Exhibit 7.
Objections?
No objections.
No objection, you said?
No objections.
May I approach again?
Yes.
I'm handing Mr. Werner what's been marked as Exhibit 3. Do you know what, can you tell me what that document is?
it's Montana Secretary of State Business Energy Report for G&G Garbage LLC.
I would move to admit Exhibit 3.
Any objection?
No objection.
Admitted.
Thank you. So I'd like to ask you a few questions about your financial conditions, as that's an element of doing your application. Mr. Varner, do you pay your bills on time?
Yes,
Do you have any debts?
no,
Does F&D have any debts?
no,
Are you financially able to acquire the equipment needed to transport garbage in this service area?
yes,
In your response to the data request, you provided a list of equipment that you intend to purchase, and that was in question GGG-007, and that has already been admitted as an exhibit. Is that the list of equipment that you intend to purchase?
yes.
Have you called to see if that equipment is available?
When we called them, it was available. Yes,
Do you plan to purchase that equipment if your application is granted?
yes.
Do you have land and shop space where you could store your equipment?
We have land and shop space at F&D, and we will lease back to Southeast and give them room.
Do you have office space available where you could operate an office for Southeast Garbage LLC?
Yes,
Will you have employees with customer service and billing experience?
yes,
Do they currently have software that they're familiar with and used in your business?
yes,
Do you intend to provide the garbage transportation service you request yourself?
yes.
And how do you propose, will you use employees or do some of the work yourself? How would you do that?
More than likely, one of the trucks will be run by me. The boys can take care of the business, and I will run it.
Do you intend to have a local office in Baker?
Yes,
Another one of the elements the commission needs to consider is your experience in conducting the services that you're seeking in your application. So I'd like to talk a little bit about your experience. You are the owner of F&D Oilfield Maintenance.
yes.
When did you form that company?
1978, 78 or 79.
What does your company do?
We roustabout and pipeline, lay gas, water, and oil lines, pipelines, non-regulatory and regulatory pipelines.
Do you have customers or clients?
We have clients that call us.
Do you have to meet expectations for those clients?
Yes, yes. You have to do it right.
In what ways is your company similar to the garbage transportation service?
Dealing with employees, keeping your trucks up. I mean, the main thing in any business, do your maintenance. Keep all your equipment, everything you got in top shape, so you don't have breakdowns.
How many employees did you have when you first started in the 70s?
Me and one guy,
Has your company grown?
yes,
What is the most number of employees you've employed?
87.
How many employees do you have now?
We're running between 20 and 25.
Why does that employment number vary?
It varies on the work you've got. On 20 to 25 people, that might be all we need to do what we're doing. Then all of a sudden you get a big job. That job on itself might require 40 more people. So then we go out and get 40 more people, whatever we need to turn that job.
And does the industry that you're in fluctuate?
Yeah,
How many trucks do you own?
11,
Do you maintain your own equipment?
yes.
How do you do that?
Between me and the boys and my other guys that have my shop that help us, maintained strictly by us.
Do you have any, do you or your employees have any qualifications on maintaining the equipment?
2 of my boys are diesel techs. And I've learned through the years how to mechanic and keep them going.
Do you perform scheduled maintenance or as needed?
No, we do, the guys do a pre-trip inspection every day before the truck leaves. If there's something wrong, it is fixed. And every 2,000 miles, the trucks are brought through the shop and fully serviced out, cleaned up, and back out.
Is all of your equipment in working order?
Yes, yes,
Do you provide your employees with training?
yes. We train them to what we want them to do.
Do you provide your employees with the tools required?
Yes,
Do you have any employees that deal with customer service phone calls?
we have, there's me and the boys, and we have 3 foremen that do deal with customers service as far as dealing with the bosses and taking care of their work.
So any concerns are directed to those 6 individuals?
Yes, right.
Do your customers, how do they reach you?
On my phone.
There's not,
They'll call me, talk to me.
do you have any safety programs or training that you provide?
We have a safety meeting every month. And then any of the first aid CPR, all that part training, we do that every 2 years.
Who runs the safety training?
We belong to Contractor Safety Association here in Baker. The group of us contractors are part of it, and we have monthly safety meetings.
Do you employ any CDL drivers?
Yes, we have, I believe there's 6 of us or 7 of us right now.
Are there any regulatory agencies that oversee CDL drivers or have any special requirements for those?
Well, in our operation, the truck drivers are all drug tested through the CDL part of it. We have people that are drug tested through DOT because of the DOT work we do. And the rest are all drug tested through another program.
And I'm sorry if I missed it, do you have a CDL?
Yes,
Do you have experience operating heavy trucks and equipment?
for many years.
In what way are garbage trucks similar to the trucks that you own?
They're the same. Same thing. Identical. In fact, we had a hook on them to pick up the dumpster.
And how about the residential garbage trucks? Are they different?
I would, pretty close to the same thing. I mean, they're automatics anymore. So it's just drive them, run your hydraulics, pick up your dumpster and go.
Are you required to have your trucks inspected?
I'm gonna lodge an objection to the line of questioning regarding F&D oil field maintenance. Discovery was asked regarding multiple questions about F&D. The responses was that it's not a related entity and the information is not relevant. I believe on that basis that testimony regarding F&D oil field maintenance is not relevant to the commission's and by the applicant's own statement.
Wait a minute.
is not relevant to the commission, and then
to the commission's determination based on the applicant's own statements. And that would be GGG 022 responses.
Ms. Sussman, if you have a response, whatever.
Thank you. I would like to respond. I just want to turn to the question that she's referring to. So 22 is asking for members, shareholders, employees, the relationship, financial statements, assets of F&D. Mr. Varner is testifying as to his experiences in supervising and operating equipment that is similar to the garbage industry, which he's required to prove to you to get a permit. So additionally, there was no motions to compel or anything that objected to our response to that question. And I don't think that this question is exactly what he's testifying to.
There was no motion to compel because the applicant admitted the information about F&D oil field was not relevant.
no,
to
I'm gonna
this.
have you slow down and kind of speak up because
Okay.
you're,
The applicant admitted in discovery responses that information about F&D oil field maintenance was not relevant to this proceeding, and that there was no relationship between F&D and the applicant. Based on that, I think that information about F&D and its capacities and what it does is not relevant to this proceeding and shouldn't be considered.
Overruled.
I don't think I had a question on the table or on out there. Okay, yeah, sorry, I don't know if we're in the middle of a question or not. Oh, maybe I did.
question, are you required to have your trucks inspected?
You have to have them DOT certified every year.
Do you see an advantage to having a local office?
Yeah, because if you have a local office doing business here, people know you. It's either a call to my cell or whoever my truck driver cells are, or a call to the office. Guess what? The problem's taken care of compared to making a phone call and you don't get no answer or whatever happens.
And you indicated you do supervise employees.
Yes.
Have you ever had to supervise employees some distance away from you?
Not really. I oversee so much. I mean, I spent 12 years in the market. My boys run other ends of it. We talked, there was problems. We talked it over, we got things squared away, kept things going, so.
Have you ever had to deal with a problematic employee?
Yes,
And does it take quite a length of time to handle employee issues?
no, you sit them down, talk to them, try to get them squared away. After so long a time, if you can't get them squared away, because you got a problem employee, you eliminate that employee. You don't need problems in your business, so. Most time you can train them.
Do your employees ever tell you when they're having problems with a mechanical issue?
Yes, yes,
Do your employees ever tell you if they receive a customer complaint or concern?
yes.
Do you provide any incentives to employees to do well or open lines of communication?
Yeah, I mean, our employees, I mean, we train them. Whether it's with the Southeast or whatever, we train them, get what they want. They do a good job, they get incentives at the end of the year. We're doing a good job being safe and everything else.
Do you have experience in hauling garbage?
No,
What do you know about the public need in the service area for garbage service?
the only thing I know is, from getting affidavits, visiting with people, the service is not there. They all wanted their service, better service, someone that can take care of it, someone they can talk to if there is a problem. And I learned more about it as I was getting affidavits, it's the problems.
Do you have competition in your field?
Yes,
Does competition impair your company's ability to provide service?
the only thing what competition does, makes you run your business a lot better than what you can, the best you can. Because you bid a job, you have to run it the proper way to make money because you had to beat that contractor out on the job, so.
Have you looked into whether you would be able to acquire insurance needed to cover your assets and the assets that you intend to acquire? Have you looked into obtaining your insurance for that?
Yes,
And are you confident that you'd be able to acquire insurance?
yep.
Do you know, is a DOT registration required for the service that you intend to provide?
Yes,
And did you begin that process of acquiring a DOT registration number?
yes, we have it.
You have a number.
Yes.
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'm handing Mr. Varner exhibit 15. Oh, sent it maybe wasn't labeled. It was provided in our data responses. Oh, I have one that's labeled if you'd like.
I'm gonna object to this one on the basis of relevance. This goes to interstate registration, not intrastate regulation, which is the topic for today.
I actually haven't even moved to admit the exhibit, but
There was objection, I'm sorry.
okay.
I suggest that we wait to
Address that?
until it's moved,
Okay.
until you propose
Thank
to move it into evidence.
That's what I was waiting for. So,
So is DOT registration required for entirely intrastate within the state of Montana?
Yes,
You believe this?
yes.
And can you tell me what exhibit 15 is?
This is the approval of our US DOT number for Southeast garbage.
Okay. I would move to admit exhibit 15.
any objection?
I would raise the same objection. The first line of this states the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration received and approved.
Wait a minute. It's gonna slow way down.
The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration received and approved your application for U.S. Department of Transportation registration to operate in interstate commerce. interstate commerce is not the topic for today. The PSC doesn't regulate interstate commerce. I don't think it's relevant to the question at hand in this hearing.
Southeast Garbage LLC's licensing and registration is at issue. It is a license that they have obtained. Whether it's required to do this service or not, I think it is relevant to show licensings that they do have. Do you have any other experience that qualifies you to provide garbage service in the service area?
I have the business sense of running my own company. And I know I can go in here and run this company without a problem, so. I can drive truck and I can do it.
No additional,
I don't believe we formally
oh,
moved or admitted that into evidence, but you moved, correct, for Southeast 0013 to be admitted into evidence, correct? The DOT letter,
That 15 is what she's
15. Excuse me.
so I moved to admit, oh, and you overruled. I'm sorry,
So
okay, thank you. You know, sometimes, the overruled and the sustains get me if I'm sleeping. Okay, so it is admitted.
Correct.
Thank you. I don't have any additional questions. Thank you.
Ms. Pappas, your witness to cross-examine.
Thank you, Commissioner Pinucci. Good morning, Mr. Byrne.
Good morning.
To clarify, 7940 Highway 12, is that your residence and your business
That
location?
is correct.
And so you dispose of your residential and your business waste in a 20-yard roll-off?
Yes.
What is your expectation for a turnaround on?
Oh, Darcy, you messed up, I messed up, so.
Donuts for everybody.
Yeah, we'll take care of that.
What is your expectation for turnaround after you request service? How many days do you expect somebody to pick up your 20-yard roll-off?
I expect them to be picked up in 2 to 3 days.
Request pick up in 2 to 3 days when you call in?
I do not request it. I would think if you're gonna run a business, that would be the standard to get that guy's garbage picked up in 2 to 3 days and take care of it.
And have you ever called to request a faster turnaround than what you've experienced?
I have called in for service and then after a week, they don't show up and call back in again to see what's going on.
When did that happen?
This happened quite a few times. We don't know exact dates, but it's happened a lot.
Okay. I believe your testimony was that you've been with a customer of G&G for many years and the service was consistent up until the last year or became inconsistent in the last
I
year?
would say in the last year and a half or so,
Okay. What began to happen in the last year and a half?
you just don't get service.
Prior to that, you didn't have issues?
The service was, they might not be there in 2 days, but they would get it in 3 days, 4 days. But then it just kept slacking off to where it got so bad that I would literally watch my dumpster. And when I was getting so full, because I knew we were gonna be another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever, I would tell the girls, call in, we're not ready, but by the time they get here, we probably will be. So I just had to adjust and make an early phone call. And guess what? By the time they got there, it was packed full. So
How many times have you called for service this calendar year?
I called in February to get it dumped, and it was 2 weeks.
2 weeks in February. Have you called since then?
I have not. I'm ready to dump again right now, real close.
Okay, you have not called
I
in.
have not called in.
What research did you do prior to filing an application with the Public Service Commission?
To file for a permit.
Sure.
Well, mainly I just talked to people. The problems I had, plus I talked to other people. And then they told me the problems they were having. I talked to one of the county commissioners, and he told me that they eliminated G&G from the county's business. So then I kind of made my mind decision off that I'm having problems, everybody else is having problems. Someone's gonna step up to the plate and give this community a service that it is not getting, so I made that decision to do it.
Did you research the Montana code provisions with respect to garbage hauling?
No,
Were you aware that garbage was regulated in the state of Montana?
I knew it was regulated.
What did you know about garbage regulation?
I knew it was regulated, there's a no compete and stuff on it.
What do you mean by no compete?
If you're gonna be taking revenue away from G&G, it's up to the commission to make that decision if their business is bad enough to give another customer in this area a permit or to deny it. So, I mean, it's just the way it is.
How did you decide your business name?
That was, me and my boys got together, and that was a name that come up between all three of us. Every one of us threw a name in, and that was the name we come up.
At the time that you decided the name of your company, were you aware that there was a company that was permitted to haul in Ekalaka called Southeast Trash Removal?
No,
Do you know that now?
I do now, yeah.
Have you spoken to Southeast Trash Removal about the similar names?
No,
Have you spoken to them at all?
no.
Do you know what services they provide?
As far as I know, they supply the services for in town, inside the city limits.
Have you reviewed the motor carrier authority list that the PSC publishes?
No,
Why not?
I haven't looked into it.
Are you aware that Miles City Sanitation Services has authority to serve in Fallon, Carter, and Lebo counties?
Yes, I looked up their permit online.
Oh, so you did look at,
I looked at theirs, yes.
okay. Why did you look at theirs?
I have been told that people lease this policy sanitation. So I went in to see if they did have a permit in this area.
Did you contact Miles City Sanitation about providing service here?
I did not because they never come down here anyway. They have never been in this area.
You never called to ask them if they would come over though?
No. I could tell you somebody that did call them for service in this area. They said they couldn't come down here, but that would be hearsay, so.
You have no knowledge that Miles City won't come here, sitting here today?
If I bring in the right witness, I can say that there is a person that did call
You
them,
can't say that though.
but I can.
Do you own any businesses other than F&D oil field maintenance?
No,
Do you work for anyone other than F&D oil field maintenance?
no.
If Southeast Garbage is granted a permit, what areas does it plan to serve?
Plans to serve Carter, Fallon, and Weevil counties. out, you know, not the towns,
What do you mean by not the
not in the
towns?
city limits,
Which towns?
all of them. That is regulated by the city.
Which towns are you referring to then?
Well, Ecolaka, Baker, and Weevil. They have their own garbage business in the towns.
Okay, so the town of Baker operates its own garbage
That's correct.
service. And it's your understanding you'd be excluded from operating there?
I don't know if I'd be excluded, but that is up, the city runs it, so why would you, you know, let them do it?
Do you plan on offering services in the town of Baker?
Only if I was asked.
And Webo, the town of Webo offers its own garbage services?
That's right.
Do you plan on offering services in the town of Webo?
Only if there was a problem and they asked me to do it.
And in Ecolaka, does the town offer garbage
They
removal
have-
services?
Well, you just said southeast, down there supplies the services for in Ecolaka.
Okay, do you plan on competing with Southeast?
No,
So you don't plan on offering services within Ecolaka?
only if they ask me.
If they ask you, you would compete.
They ask me, but they won't ask me if they got a service.
Who do you mean by they?
Just town of Ecolaka, town of Weevil, town of Baker.
Okay,
They
and
have their own services.
in Ecolaka, it's not the town offering services though, correct? It's the private hauler, correct?
That's right.
So do you plan to compete with the private hauler within Ecolaka?
No,
So you don't plan to offer services in Ecolaka?
Wait a minute, I am gonna ask you to slow down.
But your application doesn't exclude Ecolaka, does it?
no.
Do you plan on offering services in any area where Southeast Trash Removal has authority?
As far as I know, Southeast Trash Removal has authority in the city limits.
But you don't actually know that because you've never
I
looked
do
it up
not know that. I haven't talked to them.
and you haven't looked it up.
Nope.
Do you plan to offer residential route services in Carter County?
Residential what?
Route services, weekly services or bi-weekly?
In Ecolaka, from what I understand, will be when they call you to come dump the dumpster.
You do not plan to offer regular residential services in Carter County?
If it's outside the city limits and they need a canister or a dumpster, I will take them.
You would serve a regular route in Carter County?
Yes,
Have you spoken to anyone that has said there's a need for a regular route in Carter County? How about in Webo County? Would you offer a regular route service in Webo County?
only to the people outside of the city limits.
And have you spoken with anyone who indicated there was a need for a regular route service in Webo County?
No.
Have you spoken to anyone that said that they were denied service by any garbage hauler?
I have not.
Do you plan to offer different services than any offered by the current garbage haulers?
No,
Do you plan to offer services with different frequency than offered by the current garbage haulers?
no.
Do you know who your driver is for G&G currently?
Do not.
Do you know who your driver has been for G&G in the past?
I did know the two of them,
Who did you know?
Bobby Wood and Corey Yep.
Corey Efka?
Yep.
Did you speak to Bob Wood about services you were needing?
The only thing I ever talked, Bobby would come up to me one day after I'd filed for everything and said, I understand you're filing for a permit. I said, yes, I am. You want to know how it was going? I said, we're still working.
And when Corey Efta was your driver, did you speak to him about the services you were receiving?
No.
Southeast Garbage currently has no financing in place to acquire equipment, correct?
We have a letter of credit from the bank,
You have a letter from Dean Wang, correct?
yes,
Did you pay for that letter?
no,
Have you obtained a letter of credit in the past?
no,
Is it your understanding that Dean Wang has guaranteed to loan you funds?
yes.
On what terms?
Probably on the terms that he knows me.
Okay. How many years loan would you be getting from Dean, do you know?
We have not discussed that.
Okay. What interest rates would you be paying?
We haven't discussed that.
Do you currently have loans on any vehicles?
No,
Have you obtained financing in the last 5 years?
no.
Do you have any knowledge of what current interest rates are?
I have a pretty good idea, yes.
What are current interest rates?
Most current, right now, they're probably around 6%.
6%, you think? Okay. And what kind of term, length of years could you get a loan for equipment?
Right now, I don't know because I don't finance stuff.
Okay, so you have no knowledge of whether it would be a 3-year loan, a 5-year loan, a 15-year loan?
Not until we get into it.
Okay. Did you assist with responding to data requests in this case?
What's that?
Did you assist with responding to data requests from G and G in this case?
I don't understand you.
Did you assist in responding to the data requests sent by G and G in relation to this matter?
I think one of my sons,
You didn't respond to them?
took care of that part of the file.
Okay. Have you reviewed the data responses?
I have left over some of it, yes.
Okay. Is everything accurate to your knowledge?
Probably pretty close.
Okay. Did you create a business plan for Southeast Garbage?
One of my sons did. I think,
Do you know if that was produced in response to any data request?
I couldn't answer that.
Who would be the better person to talk to about that?
One of my sons probably worked on that part of this.
Do you have a business plan? Have you ever had a business plan for F&D oilfield maintenance?
No,
Would you say that's grown organically?
well, if you want to make a business work, you don't need a business plan mainly. Go out there and get the work done and keep it going. And eventually that plan of yours will work out.
When you started F&D oilfield maintenance, could you have attained $1 million in loans at that time?
No,
Did you start the business in a manner that would have required $1 million in loans? at
No.
that time? Are you aware of a data request where you listed, where Southeast Garbage listed the vehicles and supplies and equipment that it proposed to obtain?
yes.
Did you review that?
Did I review it?
Yes.
I am the one that made the phone call on all that.
Okay. Have you added up all that list?
Yes.
What does it come out to?
I can't remember right now.
Hand you the response to the question in response to GGG 007, which has already been admitted to evidence.
Try to remember to ask to approach.
Thanks, Ricky. You have that list in front of you?
Yep.
Okay, so it has the two Peterbilt trucks for $175,000, is that correct?
Yep.
Those are 2015 model?
Yep.
And those are still available?
I haven't checked with them.
Do you know what kind of miles those trucks had on them?
Right at 100,000 miles.
100,000, okay. You have a lot of trucks of your own? Is
Yes,
that
I
correct?
do.
Is it your experience that older trucks require more maintenance?
No, not if they're kept up.
Okay, do you know how these ones were kept?
These are refurbished trucks. They're in top shape.
Okay, where are they coming from?
They're coming out of North Dakota.
Okay, where in North Dakota?
That's for me and the dealer to know.
I'm sorry, please.
Eastern North Dakota.
Have they been used in rural areas?
They've been used, as far as I know, they were used in the city services.
So we have the two Peterbilts for 175,000, correct?
Yep.
We have the two Kenworths for 617,120, is that correct?
Yep.
Are those trucks still available?
I haven't checked on them.
Then we have 100 300-gallon containers at $550.10 each, right?
Yeah.
So that comes to about $55,000.
Yeah,
We have 5 15-yard open top roll-offs at $4,200 each, correct?
yep.
So adding that up, that's $21,000.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Oh,
20
yes.
Yes,
20-yard open top containers at $5,500 each, correct?
yes,
So if I do the math there, that comes out to $110,000.
yes,
We have 10 30-yard open top roll-offs at $6,000 each, correct?
yep,
So doing the math, that's $60,000.
yes,
We have 5 40-yard open top roll-offs at $7,200 each, correct?
yes,
That comes to $36,000.
mhm,
So yes.
yes,
20-yard clamshell roll-offs at $8,000 each, correct?
yes,
So that's $160,000.
yes,
10 30-yard clamshell roll-offs at $8,500 each, correct?
yes,
So $85,000 for those.
yes,
And then 5 40-yard clamshell roll-offs at $9,700 each, correct?
yes,
And that, if I do the math, is $48,500.
yes,
So when I add up all those items, I come out to $1,367,620. Do you have any reason to dispute that?
no,
Okay, does that sound accurate to you?
that's fine.
Thank you. Take this. Thanks. Your letter from Dean Wang says that you have the wherewithal to fund up to $1 million,
That is
correct?
correct.
Okay, and the number we've talked about is almost 1.4 million, correct?
That is correct.
How do you plan to fund that extra $367,000?
Them are numbers. Possibility, not all them dumpsters will be bought. If I get the permit, I will buy the amount of dumpsters I need to get it kicked off and get it going. Them brand new trucks, yes, them are sitting there. But I can go with cheaper trucks. Well-used trucks for less money with low mileage and still make this business work.
So you don't actually intend to obtain the equipment listed on this exhibit?
We are gonna buy equipment, different prices of stuff that we got, so we know what it costs going into this.
So how much do you plan to spend on equipment if you're granted a permit?
Well, we will probably end up spending right at $1 million. And if I need to go over that $1 million, because I didn't, I need more, Dean Lang will go with me on that.
Okay, so it's your testimony that you believe your banker will loan you over $1 million.
Yes,
You don't have,
I looked at this knowing that if we bought newer roll-off trucks, we don't have no breakdowns. From that point on, you keep them maintained and keep it going.
may I approach?
Yes, you may.
I'd like to show you what's already been admitted as Exhibit K, which is that letter from Dean Wang.
Already seen it?
Okay, you're familiar with that letter?
Yep.
Did you ask Dean for that letter?
I asked Dean if he'd give me a letter of credit for $1 million.
And that letter says you have the wherewithal to fund up to $1 million, correct?
Yeah.
It doesn't say he will loan you up to $1 million, does it?
No,
And you don't know, you don't have any letters of credit that say the exact amount he would loan you or the terms of any loan.
No, I do not. But I do not have a problem asking Dean for more money than this.
But you don't know if he'd loan it based on this letter.
I'm gonna say that 100% sure he will.
Okay, but you don't know the terms of that loan.
No, I do not.
May I approach?
Yes.
So if you have $1 million loan at the 6% interest, you believe is applicable right now, what's your annual interest on that loan?
60,000.
I'd agree with that. And would you be paying this loan as interest only?
Would that be what?
Would you expect to pay an interest only loan with a balloon payment?
I would say you would probably set that up either on a yearly payment.
Okay, but you'd be paying principal and interest on the
That's
loan?
right.
Okay, so you would expect your payment to be higher than the $60,000 a year? You stated that you plan on doing most of the driving, is that correct?
I will probably be one of the drivers, yes.
Okay. Will you pay yourself a salary?
Will I what?
Will you pay yourself a salary?
Yes.
What salary do you expect to pay yourself?
Probably not much. My company don't pay me much now.
And does your company not pay you much now because you take profits instead?
No,
Okay. What do you live on if your company doesn't pay much?
I just run on my own.
Sorry?
I just take my normal monthly salary from my company, so.
Okay. And so what salary do you expect to take if you're granted a permit for driving?
Off that business?
Mhm.
Yeah, they pay me $2,500 a month, I do it.
Do you plan on having anyone else available to drive?
One of my boys will probably drive, or one of my other employees.
Okay. What do you pay in your F&D employees? What do you pay a driver?
Ups around 30.
30 an hour?
Yeah.
Do you provide benefits?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Insurance?
Insurance?
Profit sharing?
Nope.
Okay. And so if you bring in one of your drivers at $30 an hour, you expect to pay them that amount to drive garbage truck?
That is correct.
Okay. You've had employees for a long time, correct?
Yes,
When you consider your employees' hourly wage, and then you consider the insurance that you have to pay on that, and the taxes for their Medicare, anything you have to pay, what percentage of their hourly salary does that come out to?
Objection. I don't believe that this is relevant to whether he's able to have employees to provide the service.
It goes to the question of fitness. His fitness is his ability to provide the service and whether this is going to be financially feasible to do this on the revenue in this community, which is what I'm going towards here, is highly relevant here.
Overruled.
I don't track that, my girls do all that stuff, so I don't keep up with that.
Okay, so you don't know what your average employee costs you out of pocket per year in your business?
The girls track it all.
Okay. So you don't know what a third-party driver would cost you in total?
No.
Okay. You stated that you would have administrative staff as well if you're granted a permit, correct?
Yep.
Okay, what do you pay your administrative staff at F&D?
They're paid in the low 20s.
And do they get benefits as well?
One does.
Okay. How many administrative staff do you believe that you would need to run this business if you're granted a permit, Southeast Garbage? One administrative staff? And how many drivers do you believe you'd need to have on staff?
The max you need is 2.
2.
I need a third standby one.
You currently handle all your mechanic work in-house for F&D?
Pretty much,
If you're granted a permit, would Southeast handle its mechanic work in-house?
yes.
How many mechanics would you need on staff?
Mainly you just need your drivers. They are mechanics.
Okay, so you wouldn't have a separate mechanic?
No, that's a waste of money.
Okay. So your total here is 3 staff members is what you believe you would need to run this business?
I think it can be done.
Okay. You're planning to use a building you already own for space for your, Southeast to operate out of? What lease rate would you charge Southeast?
I haven't got to that point yet.
Are you aware of what lease rates for industrial buildings go for in the Baker area?
Not around Baker. I don't lease, I don't get into it. I'm sure it's, they're probably releasing around $2,500 to $5,000 a month, depending on who you're dealing with.
So $2,000 to $2,500 a month?
I would say $2,500 to $5,000 a month, depending on who you're dealing with, as who got the building and what they want for it.
And would that include your office space as well for the business?
Yes,
Your office space would not be a separate?
the Southeast Garbage would be in the same office as our normal offices.
Okay, and would you charge Southeast Garbage for office space use?
We would probably charge them so much.
Okay, and how much would you charge for that?
Not a lot.
$1?
I can't answer that. I mean, $500 a month.
Yeah.
Who knows? A lot of your stuff depends on once you get the business going, how it's going. Then you make decisions.
While you're getting the business going, who's going to be providing service?
What's that?
Who's going to be providing service throughout the counties while you're getting the business, your business going?
If I'm issued a permit, then it takes me time to get the trucks and stuff in here, so.
Okay. How long would it take you to get up and running?
I think we can be up and running within 30 days.
All of the equipment listed in response to GGG 007, do you know the lead time on acquiring that?
The what now?
All of the equipment you listed in your response to data requests, the equipment we just went over, do you know the
Yep.
lead time on acquiring that?
A lot of that is within 30 days.
Okay.
And that's just one, you know, that's through one supplier. There's multiple suppliers out there for this.
Okay, and all of this equipment, is there anything you would expect not to get within 30 days?
There's things you will be waiting on,
Do you know which items you'd be waiting on?
mainly your roll-off containers.
Do you know how long it takes to get a roll-off container?
I can tell you what one company can produce per month,
Okay,
which is around 10 to 15.
so you say produce per month, are
That
you
is
looking,
build them,
yeah, you're looking at a custom built piece of equipment,
that's right.
and so there is a lead time on getting this.
That's one company.
Okay.
There's multiple companies out there. You can go to different companies and get your roll-off containers. You don't have to buy from one.
You said you looked into insurance, correct?
Yes,
What type of insurance did you look into?
liability insurance,
Did you get a quote on how much that would cost?
I did not.
Do you know what liability insurance would cost?
I do by running my own company.
Okay. What do you know?
Well, I'm 300,000, which is what is required at the landfill. It's probably fairly reasonable. I'm gonna say maybe $7,000-8,000 a year. I haven't looked into it.
And when you say 300,000, is
Landfill requires you $300,000 worth of liability insurance to pull into that landfill.
okay, and 300,000 is the
That's your
limit per
liability- liability
occurrence?
One at a
Insurance.
time, one at a time.
That's the limit per occurrence, to your knowledge?
That is what you have to have to run that business and get in the landfill. $300,000 worth of liability insurance.
Okay.
And then you have to have your trucks insured.
Keeping on the liability insurance, would you plan to obtain the minimum insurance that you had to get?
That depends. It requires 300,000. We probably would take it out at 500,000. You have the option to go to $1 million.
Do those cost more?
Yes, they do.
Do you have any idea how much more?
Well, I know the more you add on to it, the more expensive it gets.
Okay, but you don't know what kind of
Until I
rates you
sat
look
down and talked with my insurance company, my agent, told him this is what I got. I have a rough idea, nowhere close. So I couldn't answer exact for you.
Okay, what is
Because
your,
I didn't check into it.
okay, what is your rough idea?
It should be around $6,000-7,000 a year for 300,000.
Is it fair to say you didn't make inquiries above 300,000?
I told my agent what we needed. And he said he would check into it and give me quotes, and that has not happened to this day.
Have you ever had an insurance claim in your business on your liability policy?
One time,
Did your insurance pay on that claim?
yes, they did.
Do you know how much they paid?
At this time, no, I can't remember. Many years ago.
Do you keep the minimum insurance you can on your current business?
No,
Why not?
we are required to carry 5 million, and we're required to carry 3 million, and we carry 5.
Is it a good business practice to carry more insurance than is minimally
No.
required?
You do not have to, it's strictly up to you.
Okay. Is it a good business practice in your experience?
No,
Okay, why do you carry more than?
because we were running for a company that required 5 million, and we kept it there.
Okay,
Now we're already paying the premium, let's keep it.
so it allows you to go after work that you wouldn't otherwise qualify for?
Could be, could be.
Other than liability insurance, would you have other insurance costs if you're granted a
We
permit?
have the insurance on the trucks.
Okay, how much does that cost?
If you want full coverage, it'll run you about $1,200 a year
Per vehicle or in total?
per vehicle.
Will you have to pay work comp on your employees?
Yes.
Do you know how much work comp costs?
Nope, it's all handled out of the office.
Is there someone who could provide that testimony?
I'd have to pull my secretaries in here.
Okay, who would that be?
Val,
What's Val's last name?
Sapani,
you expect that you'll have maintenance costs if you're granted a permit?
You're gonna have maintenance costs to run a business.
Do you have any idea what your maintenance costs will be?
No, you have your normal changing oil, buying tires, and everything else. And it, whatever it comes to, it comes to.
Even if you're doing your work in-house, you're still gonna have to buy tires and parts.
Probably after a year, yes, you're gonna buy, or so, you're gonna buy tires.
Do you keep track of what your maintenance costs are on your current vehicles?
Do we keep track of it?
Mhm.
No,
Do you know what your maintenance costs are on your current vehicles?
no.
Do you
I
have
just
any-
know they gotta be in perfect shape and that's the way they are.
Is there anyone that would know that information?
No.
We talked about the list of equipment you maybe plan to acquire. Is equipment a one-time only purchase, or are there ongoing equipment costs?
If, no matter what you're in, if you buy that equipment, eventually down the road, you're gonna have to replace that equipment. Depends on how you take care of it.
Okay.
Take care of it, you'll get a lot of use out of it. They'll run for years.
And do you have any knowledge of how often a roll-off needs to be repaired or replaced?
I would say on a roll-off, if you treat them right, they probably last a long time.
Do you know how long a long time would be?
Nope, we do not. I bought my roll-off container when G&G garbage started. I guess I still got it and it's still in perfect condition, so it must last a long time.
So you haven't had any trouble with G&G doing any damage to your container?
No. Mine's 20-some years old.
Okay, and how about the 400-gallon or 300-gallon tubs? Do those require replacement?
You, depend on what the wind does to them, if it blows around or if you got truck drivers that abuse them. But if you treat them with respect, I'm sure that, and keep lids on them and repair them, I think they last a long time.
And is it your plan that your customers would utilize your 300-gallon containers, or that you would charge your customers for the containers?
My car, a lot of the customers, some of them own their own containers. And then the ones that they want to keep owning their container. Other than that, yeah, we would supply containers.
And would your rates reflect whether somebody was using your container or their own container?
No,
You would charge the same rate if it's somebody having their own container or if you're providing a
that
container?
is right.
What rates would you charge residential customers?
I'm gonna object to the rates. There was a motion in limine that says actually we can't introduce evidence of rates, and that was ruled on.
If I may respond, the motion in limine specifically said that they didn't introduce any evidence that there was a need for better rates. And so because better rates have been a commission consideration, the question of what rates they would charge goes to their fitness and ability to provide the service, because it goes to the
Wait a minute, now she's. Yes.
goes to the entire fitness question here. Better rates is a different inquiry than rates generally.
May I?
Feel free, I'm
Reply.
also pulling up the
Yeah.
motion for my.
The motion actually states the commission should exclude any evidence of rates that might be charged by Southeast, and that was granted. And additionally, I thought it violated some law to give out rate information to competitors, which I don't understand, but.
And the question of whether he would know what the rates would be is somewhat different, and it goes to the question of fitness, not need. The motion in limine was going to the issue of need, rates as a determinative of need. Fitness is an entirely different question under an entirely different statute.
Can I respond? I don't believe that rates relate to fitness.
Sustain.
Have you done any analysis of, scrape that. Have you done any analysis of your expected revenues in the garbage, from the garbage business if you're granted a permit?
No,
So how do you know whether you would be able to pay back $1 million loan?
if you run your business properly, keep your maintenance down, and take care of business, you might have a longer payoff, but you can make it work.
But you don't know what your payoff period your bank would give would be here, do you?
No, I do not.
Do you know what revenues G&G is making in this market?
Nope,
Are you aware that, have you reviewed G&G's protest filed in this matter?
I've looked at part of it, yes.
Are you aware that it lists the revenue from the applied for area as $399,000?
I seen that.
Do you understand that to be G&G's revenue from this area? Do you expect that you would make more revenue than this in the applied for area?
I feel that the business can be built bigger than what it is. I know G&D has lost some business over it.
Okay, how could it be
Just in
built?
different categories in the oil field that they do not take care of. So,
What categories don't they take care of in the oil field in your experience?
well, we used to go out there and haul contaminated dirt to the contamination site, and I know that don't happen anymore.
Is that regulated by the Public Service Commission?
No.
So that wouldn't be part of the regulated revenue? So you would plan to build revenue in unregulated business?
That's right.
What basis do you think there is to build regulated revenue in these counties you've applied for?
Mainly just by picking up more business.
How many businesses are you aware of that are not served by G&G?
I don't know how many, I know some people, I see their dumpsters around. And I know how many people, I've seen the customers they do have. So I just know that you can pick up business in different areas.
And so you've seen G&G's cut dumpsters around,
Yeah,
and your testimony is you think you should see more of them?
I think you can pick up more business than what they do have, yes.
Okay, have you talked to any businesses that currently don't use garbage service?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're unaware of any businesses that have a need for service that they're not getting?
I feel that because of being local, you will pick up some different businesses.
Okay, but you haven't talked to any, but,
I haven't,
so it's just your gut instinct.
that's right.
How much more regulated revenue do you believe is available in this market?
I have no idea.
So your driver's salary, you said you need 2 drivers and a driver, for your current business, you pay $30 an hour, correct?
Yes,
So that comes out to a salary of about $62,400. Does that sound accurate?
Yep.
And you have additional costs on top of that for Medicare, taxes, but you don't know what those are.
right off the top of my head, I don't take care of that part of it.
So for 2 drivers, you're looking at almost $125,000 before you even consider those additional costs, right?
Yep.
And your administrative person, you said you pay in the low 20s, is that 22?
Yep,
Okay. So that's about $45,000 a year, does that sound right?
Yep.
And that's, again, before you take into account all these other expenses you incur that you don't know what they are. We talked about that your lease, you don't know lease rates, for office spaces, you assume 2,500 to 5,000 a month,
that's for a big shop
okay?
to put your trucks in.
So if we go on the low end of that, say 2,500, over the course of a year, that's 30,000 a year?
If I charge Southeast that much,
And your office space, you said perhaps $500 a month,
yeah, maybe,
okay? And so that comes out to about 6,000 a year, you do the math, right? Do you pay for fuel on your vehicles in your current business?
Yep.
You expect to pay for fuel in your vehicles for Southeast?
Yep.
Do you know what kind of fuel expenses you'd be looking at incurring?
you know, I don't even track it in my own business because it's scary, so.
Scary because it's a large number?
No, there's no use getting upset every month when you get the fuel bill.
What kind of mileage do these big trucks get?
It varies. If you get a good one, you can run around 6. You do some work on them, you can get them up a little bit higher than that. But it varies.
If they're loaded down, does the mileage go down?
If they're loaded down, but them garbage trucks aren't really loaded down.
Okay.
They haul pretty light.
So do you have no idea as you're sitting here today what your fuel expenses would be?
I think my son put it together what he thought it might cost. I can't remember. You know,
Okay, but you don't know today?
nope,
And which son is that would have that information?
I think Chad did it.
Yeah, okay.
Can't remember.
And your insurance for your liability, you said would be about 8,000 a year?
I'm just guessing. I have to talk with my agent.
Okay. And your trucks, you said $1,200 per year per vehicle?
Yes.
So at 4 vehicles, we're looking at almost $5,000.
Yeah. Your liability insurance is rated off your payroll, so.
And your work comp, you don't have any idea on that?
No.
So adding up the numbers you do know, which are, we come to $219,000 based on the numbers we just talked about in annual expenses. That's not even taking into account your loan, right? We talked about the interest on the loan would be 60,000, correct?
Yep.
So you add in the 60,000 just on your interest. And we're at $279,000 before you count principal, right?
Yep.
Do you believe that if you're granted a permit, you will have the entire garbage market here in these 3 counties?
That will depend on the commission. You know, if they give me a permit, it'll depend on, if the commission gives me a permit, that will rely on the community. as to whether I get the business or someone else gets the business.
And so
Yeah.
what is your belief? Do you believe you will take over all garbage hauling in the
I
community?
cannot answer that.
You don't know.
I do not know.
You haven't done any analysis on that.
Until you have a permit and see what you pick up for customers, you don't know.
Do you think there's enough business in these 3 counties for 3 haulers?
For 3, I only know 2
You know,
about G&G and what if I get it.
Miles City, you testified earlier that Miles City has a permit here.
Miles City has a permit, but in my lifetime, I've never seen Miles City sanitation down there. I know they take care of the other end, Miles City and that whole area. I've never seen them down there.
They could come in tomorrow, correct?
They could.
So do you think there's room in these 3 counties for 3 garbage haulers?
If you have 3 garbage haulers, guess what? You don't need all that equipment. You take what you can and try and make it work.
So
You know, I mean, you don't need a lot of equipment if there's gonna be 3 of us in this area and everyone's gonna be running. Doing it. So then your cost of getting into it is way down, so.
but some of your costs are fixed. Your trucks are the biggest cost here, right?
Trucks are the biggest cost.
And your shop space is a cost that you're gonna incur no matter how many customers.
That's right, but shop space is not that much.
You testified that you currently have around 20 employees,
Yeah, 20 to 25, somewhere in there.
and you've had as high as 87?
Yep.
Is that because there are boom times in this area?
No, that's because we picked up a job that required more people.
Okay, so
Our
you,
business was busy. We had, like I said, we might bid a job that job requires another 40 people. So you gotta go find them people and get that job turned.
and when you're finding these 40 people, are these all people with CDLs, drivers? What kind of jobs are you hiring?
Them are CDL drivers, them are operators, them are welders, them are everything.
And how long does it take to hire 40 people?
You get the word out there that you've got a big pipeline, that might only take 2 weeks.
Do you ever have trouble finding employees?
Not for big pipelines, no.
What about when you're not on a big pipeline project? Do you ever have trouble finding employees?
We usually do fairly good
Have you ever had trouble finding an employee?
once in a while, but the business we run, we take care of everything, we treat them right, so a lot of people will go to work for us.
When you have these big pipeline projects, are you doing that on bid or time and material?
Yeah,
You do time and material work?
we do.
What do you charge employee rates at when you're doing time and material work?
That's all different.
Higher than the wage you're paying them?
Huh?
Is it higher than the wage you're paying them? Sorry,
What's that now?
is the amount you're charging a client on a time and material job higher than the wage you're paying the employee?
Yes.
You stated you talked to your boys about starting a garbage hauling business. When did you first start that discussion?
Would have been in December.
Did you put together an operating agreement for Southeast Garbage?
I can't remember.
Do you know who would have information on that?
No,
Are the members of Southeast are you and your son, is that correct?
that's correct.
Are any of you obligated to contribute money to Southeast?
Right now,
Correct.
no.
Has anyone agreed to provide money to start Southeast?
When it comes time, yes. I mean, we'll get the loan from the bank, yes.
Okay. Do you plan on contributing your own funds to start Southeast?
No,
Do you plan on your sons contributing their own funds to start Southeast?
well, absolutely not. We'll take the money from the bank.
Okay, so your entire funding will be based on the loan that you expect to get from Dean Lang?
Yep.
Okay, that you don't know the terms of?
Nope.
Okay. You said you have software in place for customer service billing?
Yes,
Okay, what software is that?
just computers.
Okay. How much would it cost to acquire that software and those computers?
I can't answer that because I don't turn computers on. I don't like them. I can tell you they just bought a new computer, but I couldn't tell you what it costs. And our system, our probably will handle this system anyway.
Okay, so you're gonna have to get different software?
I don't believe we will. I don't know.
You said your system wouldn't be able to handle
Our
some-
system will be able to handle this.
Do you plan on leasing equipment to Southeast then? Computer equipment?
I don't have to lease it to them. I can let them use it.
Okay, so for free?
Only a computer.
And you anticipate getting new software to run billing?
Down the road, we maybe will.
Have you looked into the cost of that?
No,
Have you looked into what equipment you would need for that?
I don't think I need a lot of equipment, software equipment to do this.
But have you looked into it?
No. I'm the type of person that don't believe in computers.
Do you plan to have a website?
Huh?
Do you plan to have a website?
Yes.
Do you know the cost for that?
No.
Do you currently have a website?
Yes.
Can I interject? I have a witness who was trying to connect yesterday and had, an urgency, thing, and so I just, can I ask how much longer, how many more questions or?
How much longer do you think?
20 to 30 minutes. If you need to interrupt, I'm happy to do so.
Do you think you could have your plan?
Is this one of the witnesses we knew was going to be on the?
It was, Malinowski who was repairing the water line to the house.
Could that wait for?
Can I just have my staff contact him and make sure can I just communicate with her for just a brief
Yes.
second on the record?
And he'll have a different
We'll take it
sign
on.
on today.
Oh, it will be.
Yeah, I'll write it
Okay,
down.
thank you.
Time is 10:05. Off the record, yes. We'll go back on the record, the time is 10:14. Ms. Wiseman, do you have a witness that could wait until 10:30 or
Yes, my witness can wait until this witness is
until
done.
this witness? Okay. So let's continue with your question.
Darcy, would you mind reading the last question to get back in spot?
You currently have a website.
For F&D?
Yes.
Do you currently use any computer tracking for your employees?
No.
Do you plan to use any computer tracking if you operate Southeast Garbage?
No.
How do you plan to handle, say, a pickup request?
I will call them, we will be notified by our phones. And then they can go pick it up.
Okay, so you plan to use an entirely phone-based system?
Yes, you're talking about, I know the boys do it, pin drops and stuff. They do that on their phones. Just about, with us, we kind of know where everybody is, so if they tell us where, if we get a call to go pick up someone's dumpster, we know where it's at.
Is that the case outside of Fallon County too?
Well, yeah, pretty much. I mean, if it's a dumpster that has to go to Webull County somewhere out in the country, they give me directions. I can find it.
Okay, but you don't know where everyone lives in all
Not
three
everyone,
counties?
no, but I know a lot. I won't be using a computer to track them down, put it that way.
And so how will you mark jobs complete?
We'll probably run paperwork in our trucks to say it is who we hauled for and the times.
Okay, and do you expect that your administrative person will track that?
We will make reports to our administrative system, gals.
Okay, and you're gonna have one administrative person, so if they're on holiday, what do you plan to do?
More than likely, if they're on holiday, we'll keep the paperwork and they'll catch up when they get back.
Okay.
I have two administrators, so. One of them could cover.
So you would use the employee of F&D to work for Southeast Garbage?
Our secretaries for F&D will have to work for Southeast Garbage until we get it up and running. Or we can put a permanent one in there if we need it.
And do you plan on paying them through Southeast Garbage
We'll
or?
pay them through Southeast Garbage.
Okay. But you think that your existing employees have the capacity to take on
I do.
additional work? We talked about how you've had as high as 87 employees when there's a big job, correct?
Yep.
When you're hiring those employees, are you hiring them as full-time permanent employees or contracts for the job?
They are seasonal for the job.
Of your current 20 to 25 employees, how many are full-time permanent?
All of them,
And do you typically keep 20 to 25 full-time permanent employees?
most of the time.
And has that been consistent over the last 5 years,
Yes.
10 years?
Yep. Other than COVID. Other than the year of COVID,
Laid off people during COVID?
not much choice.
Have you ever had to fire an employee?
Yes,
Did you try to take corrective measures before you fired them?
yes.
Does that always work?
Quite often, you sit them down, talk to them, explain to them what they're doing wrong, what they need to do to get squared away and hang on to their job. Quite often it will work.
So you try to give them a chance?
Oh, yes. We don't just eliminate them, we'll work with them, try and get them on the right track.
not a one and done situation,
No,
but you have had to fire employees.
oh, yes.
Have you ever had an employee screw up something on a job?
Well, yeah, minor stuff,
Do they always report it to you?
most of the time.
Have you ever had a situation where an employee didn't report?
No, because in my operation, they know that if they mess up, they come to me and tell me what they did. We will take a look at it, we will get it fixed, but if they don't tell me, the outcome is not good. So I run a pretty tough operation.
Have you ever had to let someone go for not telling you?
No, even if they don't tell me, like I said, the outcome isn't good, but we will get to the bottom of it. They will keep their job and we will get through it.
Have you ever had a bid job that you didn't get done in the time specified?
Nope,
Have you ever had a T&M job take longer than the expectation you gave the client?
only if it was caused by them.
This is going to belie my lack of knowledge. Can you tell me what your trucks look like? What kind of trucks you run currently?
We run Kenworth T800s.
Okay. And do they have arms for grabbing or hoist systems? What do we have on these?
Our trucks are designed to pull trailers and haul equipment.
Okay. And so you don't have lifts or hoists on them?
No, we do not.
Are lifts and hoists more moving parts than you have on your trucks?
They got the ram that goes back, to where ours don't. Ours just have a fifth wheel plate, you pin in a trailer, hook everything up and go.
Sure.
So, yeah, they have this arm that goes back and grabs the dumps with the hook.
Okay, and so these garbage trucks, do they have more moving parts than your current trucks?
Other than that hook, no.
Okay, and are you planning on getting a side load garbage truck too?
Yes,
Okay. And so is that more moving parts than your current trucks?
the only thing that moves different is just the arm that picks them up and puts it in there and then the cylinder to crush it,
Okay,
smash it down. But it does have more than our trucks.
Okay.
More hydraulics.
okay. The hydraulics take upkeep.
Do what?
Do hydraulics require upkeep?
Yes.
You said there was an advantage to having a local office, and that's one thing you believed you would be able to provide if granted a permit, correct? Do you plan to open an office in Ekalaka,
No,
Hugo,
no,
only in Baker?
strictly bacon.
Do you plan to offer garbage services in North Dakota?
As of right now, no.
We talked about one example of oil field services hauling soil, contaminated dirt, right? That is not regulated. Do you plan to do other non-regulated work through Southeast Garbage?
No, I just know there is the services is there right now for when they have leaks and all contaminated soil.
Okay. And so these are one-off jobs. If there's a leak, they dig up the soil.
Put it in the dumpsters and haul it off.
Okay, then it gets landformed somewhere.
Yep.
And so these aren't regular jobs. They're
No,
only as needed.
only when they have a problem.
Is there a company that does land farming around here, or is it?
Yes,
Okay, who is that?
D&M Solutions.
Have you talked to them?
No,
So you don't know what their needs are?
what's that?
You don't know if they have any needs?
No, they take care of it themselves.
Okay, they do the hauling themselves?
They do the hauling. But a lot of times, they need more than one.
Okay, they have one container?
Well, there's different leaks. And with D&M Solutions, of quite often they're busy on other things and they can't get them, a dumpster, all the contaminated stuff,
Okay.
so.
Other than DNM, are there any other haulers that you know of that haul contaminated soil in this area?
Not that I know.
We've talked about a lot of expenses to cover what expenses you might incur. Are you aware of any other expenses that we haven't covered?
As of right now, no.
In conducting your research for starting up this company or preparing for hearing, did you contact any existing garbage haulers? Yeah. Do you expect to bill customers on a monthly basis?
Can't answer.
Do you expect that you'll be paid at precisely the time of service?
Will it be what?
Paid at precisely the time of service?
They will be billed.
Okay.
And I expect to be paid by the end of the month.
Okay. And so what are you planning to use for startup capital until you start getting money coming in from customers?
That'll all be through the bank.
Okay, through that same $1 million bank loan?
You have to start with an operating loan.
Okay. Do you have an operating loan now?
Nope,
Do you know the terms of an operating loan?
nope.
Have you talked to any bank? Have you talked to Dean or any other bank specifically about operating loan terms?
Nope.
No further questions.
All right, we'll go to commissioner questions. We'll go by seniority. Jennifer, Commissioner Jennifer Fielder, do you have any questions?
She's not on right now.
Commissioner Bukacek, any questions?
No question, sir.
All right, I have a couple. Sir, the Public Service Commission focuses on three things, or they should: safe, reliable, and affordable. Have you considered adjusting your routes to avoid, say, school bus pickup, avoiding when children are going to school or coming home from school, try to avoid those routes?
Right.
In the wintertime, you might adjust your schedule for snow plows or snow removal.
You would
Keep that
have,
in mind.
you would have to. I mean, you'd have to make sure the roads are open and it is good to go, or it's not worth your time to go out there, you know.
Sure. On affordability, you'd never go to, say, the dump site with an empty truck without delivering an empty container while returning with a full one. This would help on affordability.
For most of the dumpsters, you would want to take them an empty one, drop it off, pick up your full, get your full one out of the way, you load your full one up and go to the landfill, so it's a one-shot deal to keep your costs down.
And on affordability aspect, you'd look at, boy, if we were kind of slow, had a moment downtime, that would be a good time to look for, say, roll-offs that may need to be picked up. to
Yes.
use that time wise. Or say if you had 3 roll-offs at the dump and 2 of them were full, if you had some downtime, go ahead and get those full ones out of there and replace with empty ones. That way, that clears you up later.
My plans are, your empty containers, bring them back into your yard. So they're in one spot, you know where they're at, and go from there.
Well, clearly you wouldn't want a dump site to have 2 full containers on the last one, but you have the downtime to be able to pick those up, use your
Yeah.
time wisely.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get them picked up from that.
Sure. And maintenance is important, because say Case IH hydraulic oil is $250 for a 5-gallon bucket. If you were to lose $800 in hydraulic fluid, you change a hose that may cost $100 pretty quickly, and that saves money.
On these, garbage trucks, because there is a lot of hydraulics on it. But if you have a hose that is even partially seeping, you might want to go ahead and get it shut down, get the hose changed, get it back on. Because you're right, hydraulic oil is expensive, and you can't afford to be dumping 5-10 gallons of oil in that truck per day.
A company that already has maintenance in place, say you are used to working on Kenworth trucks, and you stayed with the Kenworth dump truck, this would be a tremendous advantage, because you wouldn't have to take that to a mechanic shop, you do the repairs yourself. If you'd agree, that makes a good advantage for you.
It does.
No more questions? Oh, yes, sir.
In your application, I can provide this for you if you need. Question 7 asks the geographic area that you propose to serve. It's been subject of several questions, both on direct and cross-examination. In the application, it states that you intend to haul garbage between all points of places within Rebo, Fallon, and Carter counties, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. This is just for clarity. In response to Southeast Garbage GGG 028, you were asked about where you provide the services, and that was part of the cross-examination you were called at about city limits in certain areas. For clarity, you're seeking the authority for that's listed in your application, not with the restrictions in GGG 028 that's been discussed about. If the commission were to grant you the certificate of public convenience and necessity, is it for what's in your application, which is all points and places within Nebo, Fallon County, Fallon and Carter counties?
Yep.
No further questions?
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Wasman, do you have yes, the objection?
Or recross.
Right, recross. Excited about trying to get this win. All right, Ms. Pappas, any recross?
Just a couple of questions based on yours here. Commissioner Pernocci brought up that affordability is one of the things the commission is considering. Is it important to have affordable garbage service?
Yes.
Do you believe you'll provide more affordable garbage service than G&G?
I say I'll be competitive with them.
What does that mean?
Well, we'll try and be as competitive with G&G, because if you're charging too much, you're not gonna get the business. You know, your chances are against you. So we will keep our rates where it's feasible for the customer and work for us.
And Commissioner Pernocci asked some questions about providing safe service. Do you plan to provide service when there's inclement weather?
We will provide service if anyone needs a dumpster dumped and you have to go out and, you know, the right thing to do, if it's bad, weather's bad, you can't see the roads, you can't see where you're going. You call the customer up and say, with the weather conditions, I think we need to hold off for a day till this weather clears out, then we'll come get your dumpster. And most of the time the people will say that is fine, because we don't want you out there on the roads in this weather. So
So there are reasons that would account for a delay in service.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna, in the wintertime around here, you are gonna have reasons why you can't be out there.
And Commissioner Panochi asked you about filling downtime. To be clear, for roll-offs, you plan to pick up when requested by the customer, correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Oh, you talked about bad winter weather here. It gets pretty cold, right?
Yep.
Do you have an area in your shop that you will be able to use to warm bins to allow you to dispose of them?
They will go in our shop. We will allow them in the stall to warm up. Cause I know on the bins, if they're not warmed up and you go out there, when you go to dump, it's frozen in the bin.
And so is that area included in the lease rate we talked about before? Would that be an additional lease area?
Be in the least, in the area where whatever agreement we come up between F&D and Southeast Garbage.
No further questions. Thank you.
Ms. Wasman, do you have any redirect?
I do, thank you. I believe you provided testimony that you had talked to an individual who called Miles City Sanitation and was denied service, but you said that would be hearsay. And then Ms. Pappas asked you if you had spoken to anyone that was denied service by any garbage hauler. And I think you gave her the answer of no. So those two things are in conflict. Can you clarify?
Well, I know when the man camp was being built, there was problems with G&G, and I know the lady that mowed, her boss told her to get rid of G&G. And at that time, they called Ball City Sanitation to see if they would come down and take care of it. And Ball City Sanitation said, no, you don't have to deal with G&G. That's all I know about it. Ball City Sanitation might have been busy, didn't have time to come out. But I've never known them to be in this area.
Ms. Pappas asked you if you were going to offer a different frequency of pickup to the customers than is currently offered, such as currently what is offered is a weekly pickup. If requested by your customers, would you consider offering a different frequency if it suited them?
If it's requested by them, they want to go from a week to 2 week or once a month, yes, we will do that.
The questions asked by Ms. Pappas and your answers indicate that it is your intention to fund this through a loan with the Bank of Baker.
Yes.
If you were not able to work out suitable terms, or if for any reason that loan did not go through, would you have the ability and the means to
Objection, that's beyond the scope of the cross.
So it's addressing a direct question or a cross question that Ms. Pappas had asked about his ability and if he intended and if he worked out terms on the loan.
If I may, before you make a decision.
Sure.
His testimony was that neither he nor his sons would contribute funds. It would all be based on the loan.
Can I address that?
A slightly different discussion, so certainly feel free.
I believe what her question was, does your operating agreement require you to contribute funds?
I
I'll
believe
give
I
you
asked a
the last
follow-up question on that as to whether he intended to commit funds or have his sons commit funds.
I'm gonna overrule and allow the testimony to continue.
Thank you. read back your question. The question was poor.
Well, one, I'm not ready.
Okay.
Question, if you were not able to work out suitable terms or if for any reason that loan did not go through, would you have the ability and the means to, and then she interrupted, objection, that goes beyond scope.
I would like to just re-ask. If you were not able to work out suitable terms on a loan, or if the loan for any reason did not go through, would you have the ability and the means to acquire the equipment to run the operation as you propose?
Yes.
Ms. Pappas asked you if you were, if you knew whether that equipment that you proposed was still available. If that equipment were not available, as it had been sold or whatnot, would it be your intention to obtain something similar or equivalent?
Yes.
I don't have any other redirect, thank you.
I recognize that recross is typically not allowed. I would ask to, for an exception to allow recross, move the commission on the basis that the testimony provided is inconsistent with what I asked him and inconsistent with their data request responses, specifically GGG 03, solely on the topic of fund availability.
If I may, I believe I asked him about his testimony, his intention, and just a plan B.
And in subpart C, we asked for information on financing arrangements from any member and we
Okay.
provided none.
A moment, please. Wait, over.
In subpart C to GGG 003, we asked for financing arrangements from any member and were provided none. His testimony on cross-examination was that he was funding it via a loan. I'm only asking for the opportunity to examine him on this alternate funding that only came up on redirect.
So it should take a 5-minute break. We'll go off the record for 5 minutes. Let's take a 5-minute
Can-
break.
We're just gonna read back to transcript
10:51, we're gonna go back on the record. Ms. Wasman, I guess we have a witness available on the phone.
Yes.
But before we go there, I have to deny your request for reclass. All right, next witness.
Thank you. Fred can be temporarily excused.
I was thinking temporarily because I have a feeling that that might be important.
Well, let him go.
Did you expect to potentially call him for rebuttal?
Yes, so I'm reserving him temporary.
That's why we, that's why we're agreeing.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I believe there's a witness on the phone. It should be Michael Malinowski.
Is this the witness that wasn't disclosed?
He was listed as a shipper witness. There was an affidavit and
He was listed as a shipper, did you say?
a shipper witness.
So was he disclosed as one of your remote witnesses for something else?
Oh, this was the one with an emergency fixing the house leak.
And I think I brought up my objection
Yeah,
yesterday
I'm gonna
morning to that.
overrule that. I appreciate somebody trying to get somebody's water on.
The remote testimony will just be coming through the sound bar. So for whatever that's worth, I don't think they will have video access either.
Okay,
You can ask him if he can hear us, okay?
thank you. Mr. Malinowski, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Turn up the volume a bit, thank you.
Okay. Oh, could you swear him in, please?
That's a good point. Sir, can I get you to raise your right hand?
Yes,
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Could you state your name for the commission?
Michael Malinowski,
Could you spell your last name?
Malennovsky.
Where do you live?
Ekalaka,
How long have you lived there?
my whole life.
What is your occupation?
Primary ranch and construction, and then my part-time job is running the dump at Ekalaka.
Okay. Is he on speaker? Because if he's on speaker, he needs to take it off.
I don't think I can get it in.
On your end, are you using speakerphone? Or do you have the phone up to your ear?
I have it up to my ear.
Then he's gonna have to speak then.
You want me to try speakerphone?
No.
We're up.
If you could just speak up a little bit and more loudly.
Okay.
Yeah, let me, I can do it. I'll just sit in that chair. Thank you, excuse me.
Jackie, can you hear, Ms. Pappas, can you?
I couldn't hear the last part of what he said. Hopefully we'll be better.
Yeah, can we ask that question again?
I can hear him.
The ranch hand and part-time something? Or ranch
And
construction?
I run the landfill at Ekalaka, or the transfer site part-time.
Okay, got you.
How long have you been the transfer site attendant?
23 and a half years.
And you said that was part-time?
Yes, I'm a permanent part-time employee.
What days of the week do you work?
Tuesdays and Saturdays.
What are your primary duties?
To direct traffic, collect fees, and make sure that people get unloaded wherever they go. Plow snow, mow weeds, make sure dumpsters are compacted or closed and brush is pushed up.
Where is the transfer site?
A couple miles outside of Ekalaka.
What is the setup like?
What do you mean?
how many containers are there?
Okay, so it's a container site, and we own, 1, 2, 3, we own 5 dumpsters right now. We have 3 big ones that we like to use because they haul more garbage, so we save on trips. And so we have 2 on the ground all the time, and they keep one so that they're not deadheaded any direction.
May I interrupt one moment? We're gonna switch the speakers. I think it will be beneficial for everybody.
Michael, can you hear me still?
Yes.
Oh, much better.
And so you said that there are 2 on the ground and they keep 1. What size are those? Do you know?
55 yard.
And then there are 2 additional ones you had mentioned?
There are two additional 30 or 35 yard, I don't remember which they are, but they're emergency backup only because they're about shot, so we try not to use them.
And by shot, you mean they're not in good condition?
Correct. I mean, if we haul 2 or 3 loads a year, they will last for quite a while. If we start hauling every day, they may last another year or less. So, and it doesn't make sense to haul half the amount of garbage for the same amount of money as far as mileage is concerned. So we just have steered away from them in the last 10 years or so. Maybe 5 years. I don't remember.
Who picks up those containers?
G&G garbage.
And where do they take them to empty?
To empty them, they take them to Baker to the Coral Creek landfill and empty them there. And we get a bill from Coral Creek for the tonnage and a bill from G&G for mileage. And
How long has G&G been providing that service for the town?
ever since I can remember, it was Griffith before it was G&G.
When you first started at the container site, how was the service arranged? Was it on a schedule or as needed?
As needed, we would wait till a dumpster was full and then call and then say, come get, and they would come get whenever. Because in the last 20 years, we went from 1 dumpster a week to 2 to 3 dumpsters a week, just because of Walmart and Amazon and everybody else. We haven't gained any more people, just more garbage. So we've gone to as a scheduled pickup once a week. They come and haul whatever we have ready to go.
When did it go to a scheduled pickup?
I'm going to say recently, in the last year and a half, 2 years maybe, something in that time frame. Part of the reason, I guess, for that was so that we had some town clerk, or a town clerk that was no good and did not do her job, and so messages never got relayed. And so by the time I wait till Monday to call into the office, and then she calls Griffith's office, wherever that is, and then they relay a message, it's Wednesday or Thursday before the actual driver gets over here, and we don't have enough time to get stuff done. So they recommended we get on a schedule, and that's worked really well for us.
Who recommended you get on a schedule?
I believe it was Griffith. And I don't know if it was their office or if it was the truck driver so he could plan his schedule. I'm not sure who recommended it, I guess, to be honest.
Okay. Have you had any issues with the garbage service?
Yes, it was really good when Griffith owned it. When they sold out, the only reason we never really knew it was because a local guy worked for them and he would haul it for us all the time. I mean, that was his job, but he lived right here. And then ever since he quit, they were sporadic in finding people. So it was kind of hit or miss. They kept tearing up our equipment. And then it got really bad in the last, I don't know, year and a half, something like that. They would not come for 2 or 3 weeks. Their equipment their trucks were broke down or something. Some of it I know was true. Some of it I don't know. So I don't know if there was actually a problem or if they just couldn't find somebody to drive their equipment.
Were there any times where the dump site, the transfer site and containers were completely full?
Yes.
And what did the town have to do when that happened?
So there was once or twice when it was completely full. They had not come for probably 2 to 3 weeks at least. And back up. To start with, we were never compacting our garbage. So now we are compacting with a backhoe and we get way more garbage in our dumpsters and it's still not overloaded. So that being said, we started compacting a lot to get by these times when we're waiting on them, trying to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're sick or whatever the reason was. So in those 2 or 3 weeks when they would never come, we would do several things depending on what was available. We would take the town dump truck, which is pretty small. We had taken it there once or twice and dump garbage in it. And then I think once or twice I borrowed a friend's huge dump trailer and we dumped into that. So they have never been more than about 3 weeks in coming. So we always managed, but there was always a backlog because we have a garbage truck in town. So the garbage truck is plumb full and it holds a dumpster full by itself when it's full. And then the town garbage cans are another garbage truck full because they were backlogged. So there was a lot of backlog. You know, there was probably almost a month's worth of work or backlog, I guess you would want to say, but between them not coming and the stuff still in town. We never had to shut the dump. There was always seeming enough room that household, you know, the standard 2 or 3 bags could be brought and I could find some place to squish them in, sort of. I did have to turn away 1 or 2 people that brought like a horse trailer load when they cleaned out a shop or something. But other than that, I had not had to close nor turn normal people away, I guess I should say. I'm not sure if that answered your question exactly, but I rambled.
It does. Thank you. So when you managed the transfer site, you were there the whole time?
Yeah. During which?
The Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Oh, do I work there? Yes. I work there Saturdays year-round, Tuesdays in the winter. And in the summertime, I go to my full-time job and work there all the time, and they find somebody else to run it on Tuesdays.
And the garbage service picked up not on the transfer site days, right? They picked up on alternate days?
Correct.
Did you ever have an occasion to be present when G&G was picking up containers?
Oh, yeah.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Did you ever have an occasion where you were present at the container site when G&G was picking up garbage?
Yes, I've been there multiple times when they picked them up.
And have you ever observed their trucks and equipment?
Yes. Meaning, I've seen them. What are you asking, I guess?
Yep, I'm just asking if you've seen them.
Okay, yes.
Did you have any observations about the condition of the trucks?
I will say that I'm not a truck driver nor a mechanic, but I know that 3 times that I know for sure that their equipment broke down. Once was at the dump. I say dump. It used to be called the dump all the time. Once it broke down out there, I don't remember what the deal was. The starter or something went out of it. Another time it broke down in town on their way out there, sat in front of a guy's house with a stinky fly trap, juice stuff, whatever, for 3 or 4 days because they couldn't get the truck started because air brakes were set in the middle of the street. And one time I know the truck driver, and this was the most recent, he had wrecked the truck, and what his statement was that the tie rod ends broke when he hit a car gate, and he went into the ditch with our container. That's why I knew about it, because he told me he wrecked with our container and totaled the truck because of lack of maintenance. He told me that he had taken it to a shop shortly before that, and they recommended he get new tie rod ends or ball joints, whatever it was needed, and the company didn't want to do it for whatever reason.
Is hearsay?
And that's
Malinowski,
and
can you,
it never.
Malinowski, can you just
Yes.
pause for a second?
Yes.
I would say it falls within an exception to hearsay. I think it's 803. Oh, no, 801 D2, in that it's a statement by the party's agent or servant concerning a matter within the scope of their employment made during the existence of that relationship.
I don't have the rule in front of me, but I don't think that that would apply. This person is not an agent to speak on behalf of G&G. This person hasn't even been identified. I don't know who this person was, but.
Right, we're gonna go with the rule and continue with the testimony.
Okay, wait a minute. You're gonna overrule, did you say?
Yes, and continue with the testimony.
Can I just understand the reason it's overruled? Is that possible to ask? I'm just. So it's being offered against the party. It's their employee.
It's overruled, so we continue.
I did say you'd make.
Thank you. Well, but I'm sorry. He's staying. I'll do this now. Thank you. I always think overrule is like, you're bad. Sorry. Okay, Mr. Malinowski, you can continue. What did the employee tell you had happened to the truck?
That it had wrecked with our dumpster, and that's the reason I knew about it, was because he called me and said he had wrecked with our dumpster on. It didn't hurt to the dumpster. I mean, he got a few new scratches, but nothing major. And I mean, I at the time I could tell you which scratches were new, you know, like some barbed wire scratches from when he hit a fence post, or I don't know what it was. Nothing major.
Okay.
So other than that, as far as their equipment being ill repair, that's what I've actually seen. I have heard other things. So
would you say that G&G was able to consistently meet the needs of the town of Ekalaka for garbage service?
I think they're capable, they just have not. So I guess to back up, they have been really good as in the past, we've had almost no complaints. But since in the last, I don't know, 5 years maybe, and I'm going to say it's not necessarily their fault, it's everybody's problem. We can't find people to work. They hired people that tore our dumpsters up, they tore down the cemetery sign, they broke stuff, they did all kinds of stuff, and they lasted 1 or 2 days and were gone. I mean, that's the story across the nation. So could they find somebody better? Yeah, they could somewhere. Have they? I don't know. We can't find anybody else. But that being said, seem like to me they should have a better screening program than to hire people who can't figure out how to drive the truck, or they should put them through a training course or something. But it just seems like service, the quality of service has really fallen off in the last, it's just been a steady downhill decline in the last 5 to 10 years, and really bad in the last 2 years probably.
Do you support Southeast Garbage's application for a certificate to haul garbage within the area of Carter County?
I want to say yes, but if I could say something, I don't know this whoever guy is, Fred Varner, I think his name is. I wouldn't know if he stood here. So we're going to assume that he's the angel that everybody is talking about. But on the same token, I don't want to put all our eggs in one basket again and then be back to where we're at now. But I do know from past experiences, small hometown businesses have to live and work with the people in their small town, small area, whatever. And so they usually try and provide for their friends, neighbors, and customers way better than some corporate conglomerate of whoever, which is what G&G is now.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Ms. Pappas, it's your witness to cross-examine.
Could you introduce yourself?
Thank you, yes. Hi, would you prefer I call you Michael or Mr. Malinowski?
I'm always been Michael. Mr. Malinowski's a title that, yeah, I don't know.
Well, my name's Jackie Pappas. I'm the attorney here on behalf of G&G and Miles City Sanitation Services. I just have a couple of questions for you and follow up. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Do you live in Ekalaka itself?
Yes.
And do you have garbage services?
No, I haul my own.
I guess if you're going out to the transfer station twice a week, it's pretty easy to do that.
Correct, yes.
Is there an existing garbage hauler in Ekalaka?
Yes,
Do you know who that is?
yes. Southeast Trash Removal, LLC.
Have you observed them working in Ekalaka?
Yes.
Sorry, Michael, can you hear me? Have you seen
Yes,
Southeast
yes,
working
yes.
there?
Sorry. Yes, I've seen the garbage truck guy running his errand, or not errands, route.
Okay. And do you see their garbage truck coming to the transfer station?
Usually he's there when I'm not there, but yes, I have seen him. I mean, we're friends and we work together, so as far as the dump is concerned.
And do they run a garbage truck?
Yes.
Michael, they run a garbage truck?
Correct, yes.
Did they previously run a trailer?
No, it was just a pickup, and they would throw it by hand into the pickup and then drive it out there and make 100 trips. And then they got this garbage truck, you know, has a little thing on the side, picks the cans up, dumps it. And
you know
way easier on.
Do you know the volume of garbage that they dump weekly?
I'm not sure how often he dumps when his truck is plumb full, he has 20 or 22 yards, I can't remember, of garbage, which is slightly compacted. It's a non-compacting truck.
Okay. And so that pretty close to half fills one of your bins?
Yep, he can, if he's real careful, he can dump twice into one of our bins. If I'm there with the backhoe, I can usually pack it down a little bit more, and sometimes like a half load, he can get the half load in there. Sometimes. But I'm not always there when he's there, kind of a thing.
Sure. I think our previous testimony was he has a key and he can come in when he wants.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Have you ever spoken with anyone at G&G regarding repairing your containers? And when I say you, I mean Ecolacas.
They used to drop them off for us at Baker Metal, and they would weld them for us, whatever needed welded at the time. So they would dump the garbage, drop it off, Baker Metal would weld it, and then they would pick it up and bring it back.
And when did that stop?
It was an as-needed thing. We haven't had, partly we got new dumpsters, so we haven't had to have them welded on anymore. So
Okay.
4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
Okay, and how about these 35-yard containers?
We try not to haul them anymore because they're getting too rotted out to haul very often. They're just an emergency backup if the road snowed shut. Some weird thing like that.
Okay, has anyone at
So-
G&G ever indicated that they need to be replaced?
No. I know that there was one time, this is a long time ago, that they said they wouldn't haul one of them. I don't remember which one anymore until we got it fixed. There was something wrong with the lid. Garbage was blowing out. And it was, the wire had gotten ripped. And we all agreed that it needed fixed, so we fixed it and they kept hauling it.
Okay,
Other than that, nobody's ever said anything.
okay, but the town maintains the containers?
Yep, we own them.
Yep. You mentioned that you've gone to a scheduled pickup with G&G.
Yes.
Did you have a discussion with G&G about this, or was this someone else that had a discussion with G&G about this?
It was somebody else. I was just told later that that's what they were doing, and I was like, oh, perfect. At least
And
it's getting done.
Who told you that?
I would say probably either the driver at the time or probably more likely the town clerk.
And we spoke
Which was
with
pri-
Holly.
which was-
Is that the town clerk you spoke that would have told you?
Camille?
Yes.
No, that was before her. We
Okay.
went through about 5 in the last 2 years.
Okay.
I don't know who that was, if that would have been Terry maybe.
Okay. And so
I'm guessing in names right now.
how many times does G&G come to Ecolaka currently?
For
Okay.
our stuff, once a week.
Okay, so they're
They
bringing
come on Monday.
they're bringing one container once a week and they're hauling one container once a week?
Yes, they are, but if we happen to have 2, then they haul 2.
Okay, they can
Or
fit.
whatever happens to be full at the time, So let's back up. On average, we're averaging 1.25 to 1.5 dumpsters per week of garbage. So that quarter to a half adds up. So once a month, you're going to have to haul on average 2 dumpsters.
Okay, and can they haul 2
I mean-
dumpsters at once, or do they have to make 2 trips?
They can haul 2 at one time, but it's not worth their time. I've helped them do that. It's ridiculous. It's faster to haul 1 at a time. As far as the amount of miles to be hauled, we're 70 miles round trip or something.
Sure. You mentioned that you had a bad town clerk who wasn't relaying messages. So is that she
Correct.
wasn't calling for pickups?
We don't know what she did or didn't do. All we know is that she figured out how to pay herself and us, and then she got fired. So that's all she ever figured out how to do. We could never prove anything else as far as the town, if she called, didn't call. But all we know is that a lot of bills, people sent checks that were never cashed. She never deposited money. And in that time, garbage quit getting picked up. So we assume that she quit calling. And I mean, we don't have proof or record of that. We just had a bazillion tons of trouble with her, and she's finally gone.
One employee can create a lot of havoc? Is that fair?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you talked about some issues with service. You said in the last year or year and a half that they didn't come for 2 or 3 weeks. How often did that
Yes.
occur?
I guess I never wrote any dates on the calendar. I mean, I was just thankful we had room for the day. But I'm going to say it wasn't uncommon to show up and still see the same dumpster sitting there that was there last week. You know, that probably happened half a dozen times. I mean, I'm saying a generic number, but it wasn't like it was rare to see that.
And has
But when
that-
you're coming once every 2 to 3 weeks and it happens 6 times, you know, that's 6 months out of the year. So.
And has that continued this calendar year?
Ever since they found finally a new driver, and I actually happened to be there when he was there. He didn't know anything. He just showed up and started hauling garbage, and I said, "Hey, what's going on?" And he introduced himself, and we did fine. And so far, he's been coming faithfully. If there's 2, I will call him and be like, "Hey, there's 2 dumpsters." And then sometimes, like, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, there was a couple of them. I said, "Hey, there's 2," and he called me back and he said, "I'm busy. I can't get there right now. Can I get 1?" I said, "Yep, that's fine, but I have to have it before the weekend." And he said, "No problem," and it was. So I guess ever since the petitions were sent to the state, that garbage service has been really good.
Okay, so the new guy is providing good service? And
Yes.
he's communicating with you?
Yep.
And do you call him personally or do you call a corporate office?
Personally.
Sorry, did you answer? You may have cut out a second.
Personally. He and I just talk personally, and that way he can plan his schedule as needed.
Okay,
Since we're already on the schedule, that's kind of what we do.
okay. Now, does the town limit the amount of garbage people can bring to the transfer station?
Yes and no. You are not allowed to tear down a house and bring it there, but if you're cleaning out, you know, spring cleaning your basement, that's acceptable. But normally we're set up for normal household garbage.
And I think you mentioned a horse trailer load of garbage. Is that uncommon to see?
There's a few people that think that it's great to smell garbage for a month or 2 at a time, so they put it in their horse trailer, then bring it to town once every 2 months. As long as I don't have to smell it, I don't care what they do.
Does that fill up your containers faster when they do that?
Sometimes. Usually they try and wait till it's a slow day. You know, if it's a slow day, they'll try and come on days like that. You know, if there's a basketball game and everybody's gone, they'll come on those days, and it all averages out.
Okay. You testified that you had seen G&G's equipment broke down. once at the transfer site. When was that?
I'm gonna say probably 3 years ago, maybe 3-4 years. I'm not sure on an exact date.
Okay.
I just
And you
know that
took-
we finally got it, we're able to get it out of the road, and it sat there for a week or two while they got somebody to fix it.
You testified that you also saw their truck broke down on their way to dump a load. When was that?
Similar time frame. That was actually right in town when it broke down.
Okay.
And I don't know what the problem was there. I just know that it sat there and we didn't have a dumpster. They finally did. It was a while later, a while meaning a week later. It sat there for a really long time. But they couldn't get the truck started to get our dumpster off, you know, because of hydraulic pump and all that. So they finally brought us a little dumpster with no lid to put garbage in. I don't know if they charged us for the dumpster or not. I thought it was kind of a nice gesture, but also thought it was kind of weird that it didn't have a lid when we're putting garbage in it. But at least they tried something.
Now, you also mentioned that the truck driver had wrecked a truck and broken tie rods,
Yes.
and you spoke to that driver. When was that?
Maybe a year ago, something like that.
Do you know the driver's name?
Corey,
Corey Efta?
correct.
And so the statements you were making, that's what Corey told you?
Yes. And I had also talked to, seemed like Rolling Rubber at the time. This was later, that they had went out and either fixed a tire or something, and they said, yep, we'd seen the truck. I personally never seen the truck. I seen our dumpster when it was brought back. And then I said, yep, it looks good, we can use it.
You mentioned that in the past, a G&G employee had torn up a dumpster.
Yes,
Do you recall that?
yes.
Do you know when that was?
I don't know his name. I do not. It was before Corey. So 3, 4, or 5 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
They tore up our dumpster and at the same time tore down the cemetery sign in town.
Did G&G fix those issues?
I believe so. I'm not sure who paid for any of it. I just know that eventually we got a dumpster back that was all welded back.
Okay. Did you call G&G about that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure the town office, you know, the town clerk at the time called them, but I never called them. I didn't know any of the drivers at the time.
Okay.
And they
Have
were
you
never
ever-
here long enough to know.
Have you ever called G&G to report service issues?
No. That's always been the town office.
Okay, so you've never made a call to them?
No. And I guess the other thing, as far as service related, that G&G is, one time they sent us a bill and they said that we got 3 dumpsters in one day, which we had 3 full ones. This was during all that time when we had backlog. And we know good and well that they didn't show up to our site, but at the same time, there was a local contractor tearing down a house in town with G&G dumpsters, and they were being hauled. So I think the new driver at the time, whoever that was, a temporary driver, called it Ekalaka, did not know about the dump, and said that he'd hauled 3 dumpster loads and hauled it for that guy rather than the town itself. So that's the only other issue that we know of as far as service that we can actually pinpoint.
And to your knowledge, did G&G correct the billing on that?
last time I knew, they were still arguing about it. I don't really know what was, and I believe that was right at the beginning of Camalie or before, just before her. I'm not sure which.
Okay. I believe you said that G&G was a corporate conglomerate. What does that mean?
It's owned by an investment group out of New York, and there's a guy from Denver who flies into Bismarck or Dickinson once or twice a month to go over the books and make sure that everything is going according to plan. And
What's your basis for saying that?
That's what we've been told from the people who used to work there when they sold out during the oil boom. And not necessarily the truck drivers, people who used to work with Griffith themselves when it was Griffith before G&G.
Okay. Going back to the services within the town of Ekalaka, have you seen any problems with service in the town of Ekalaka?
They don't haul anything except our dumpsters or the occasional construction job dumpster.
Yes, and sorry, going back to Southeast Trash Removal, have you seen any issues with their service?
No. I mean, he's on time every time, all the time, unless it's 40 below or some stupid thing, but.
And do you think he does a good job?
Yes.
Do you think there's a need for another garbage hauler in Ekalaka for the residential and commercial garbage removal?
No. There's not enough people to support two people or two companies.
Nothing further, thank you.
Michael, correct? Are you the?
Yes.
My name is Dan
Yes.
Poca. I'm an attorney for the Montana Public Service Commission. The commissioners of the Montana Public Service Commission will have an opportunity to ask you a few questions, and then we'll potentially have opportunity for both attorneys to ask you more questions. Just thought I'd let you know who will be asking you questions, and each of the commissioners, if they do have questions, will introduce themselves.
Okay, thank you.
Let's start with Commissioner Bukacek. Do you have any questions?
No questions.
And I have no questions. So would you like to redirect?
Just very briefly. Mr. Malinowski, this is Darcy Wasman again. I represent Fred Varner and Southeast Garbage. Do you think that competition is in the best interest of the public?
Yes.
Do you recall?
I mean, as far as like business competition, yes. I mean, we need to, otherwise it can't be fairly priced or whatever.
And does competition encourage better service?
Yes, usually.
And if you recall or know, how long did that employee who you were describing work for the town of Ekalaka?
The town clerk that gave us trouble?
Yes, that one.
A year maybe. Maybe it was less than a year. It might have only been 8 or 9 months. It felt like an eternity. I mean, I'm not trying to run her down, but yeah, anyway.
I don't have any additional questions.
Would you like to permanently or temporarily excuse this witness?
Permanent is fine.
Okay, sir, thank you.
All right, thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Ms. Mossman, you want to call your next witness?
I would call Robert Wood.
Sure.
Sir, I need you to raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, thank you. You may be seated. What we'll try to do is we'll finish this witness and then we'll go to lunch. So we may go after 12 a little bit, but let's see.
Could you state your name for the commission?
Robert Lee Wood,
What is your occupation?
work construction,
Where do you live?
306 Woodward Street here, Baker.
How long have you lived in Baker, generally speaking?
Pretty much my whole life.
Did you ever work for G&G Garbage?
I did.
What did you do for them?
I was a truck operator, running the hook truck and ran the garbage truck for garbage company.
When did you begin your employment?
The first time was, I believe, 2000.
And what was your rate of pay when you started?
Then it was, I believe, $20.
How long did you work for them?
On that time, I worked approximately 2.5 to 3 years.
Who was your supervisor?
James. I probably know his last name.
And where was James located?
He was out of Dickinson.
Who was the boss while you worked there?
James. And Greg Cobb came on.
Which Cobb?
Excuse me?
James and who?
Greg Cobb.
Was Greg God the owner?
No, he was, they called it the director of operations
And where was he located?
out of Baker.
And who was the owner of the company?
G&G, as far as I know, I don't know. The director of the company was,
You don't know who the owner was?
I just know there were some investors.
Do you know Michael Desmond?
Yes, I do.
What was his role in the company?
CEO.
What were his duties? Did he make decisions that affected you?
Yes.
What equipment were you provided to perform your job?
Kenworth truck, that was our hook truck, and then I'm not sure the year of the garbage trucks.
Are those trucks identified by unit number?
Yes,
What unit of garbage trucks were there when you began employment?
I want to believe unit 9 and 10, I got another one.
Was there a safety program?
Yes,
And what did that look like?
hit and miss.
What do you mean by that?
There were months where we didn't have it. Ended up having to play catch up on it.
Who was in charge of that?
I got my pick, James.
Did they provide you with any special clothing?
Hard hat, shirt.
Did you need any other special type of clothing for the jobs you were doing?
When we went out in the well fields, we were required to have our pants and have our service,
And was that provided to you?
sure,
Were you trained on the trucks and equipment?
yes,
Were you required to keep any sort of safety logs?
we just did it a daily pre-trip,
A daily pre-trip and what?
daily pre-trip and post-trip.
And were those pre-trip and post-trip logs kept by the company or sent?
Yes, at that time, like they were right on.
They were on your time card? And then where were your time cards logged?
We send them into the, we take our time cards down there, to the big office.
So there was a Baker office?
Yes,
And was there staff at that office?
yes.
There were how many ladies?
3,
And were they full-time or part-time?
they were all.
Was there a maintenance schedule for the trucks?
When things broke down, it seemed like we'd be able to get some maintenance done.
I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to speak up.
Depending on how much the cost was and that kind of stuff. Got asked several times, how much is it gonna cost? Can we? Will the truck run? Well, yeah, it'll run, but it's gonna cost more to get it fixed because it's gonna create more problems.
And who made those decisions?
I usually turn it into James or Greg at the time. And he'd go. Let the higher ups know.
So in your experience, there was no scheduled, how about scheduled service?
We did that at our shop for a while and then we started outsourcing it.
Did G&G have an in-house maintenance or equipment person who would do
Yes,
any maintenance?
they did for a while. It was on a Watford City.
And he would come to the Baker location?
Yes,
How long was he employed there?
I believe this guy was there for maybe 6-8 months.
And when he left the company, was there anyone else in-house maintenance that you were aware of?
No,
So then where did the equipment go?
we'd either take it to RDO and Dickinson or site.
And is that for major repairs or minor routine maintenance?
Major repairs.
And I think you had said you did some routine maintenance at the shop. What type of routine maintenance?
We grease the trucks, do oil changes on them. Set up the brakes on them. Change lights, fix wiring.
And at some point you testified that was then outsourced.
Yes,
And
sir.
where did they go for those?
To either north side or RDO.
Oh, okay. And do you know the reason for the change from driver maintenance to outsource?
What I got told is they were not billable hours. We wanted to keep our non billable hours down.
And who told you that?
James and Greg.
Did you ever have any concern over the safety of the equipment?
Yes.
What were your concerns?
Tires,
What about the tires?
we'd have a lot of flats and front ends needed alignment. Tires wear bad. Putting on, I call it cheap tire. I know I had a blowout on a steer tire. And it put me
Were there any other maintenance or any maintenance issues with unit number 9 or unit number 10?
Yes, they constantly had hydraulic leaks. The grabber arms didn't want to work right. Take the control to out and pick up a trash can, and they either go real fast and knock the can over, or when you use the grabber arms to grab the can, they squish the cans, raise it up to dump in the box of the truck. You lose the container inside your box. You have to climb up in there and get it out.
Did you report your concerns to your superiors?
Yes, I did.
And were those concerns addressed?
Not for quite some time until, that truck was broke down, then we ran the other one. The other one was broke down for darn near a year, and then, but other than that, we had, I believe it was 10. It had a pair of vice grips on one of the airlines because the grabber arm would go out too fast. It was just really hard to control it. Had a lot of hydraulic issues.
And were those issues ever fixed properly?
No.
Did you ever deal with any customer complaints?
Yes.
Can you tell me about some of the customer complaints you dealt with?
Hydraulics leaking on their driveways. Losing their cans or crushing their cans. Is scheduling. We were supposed to pick up the short route and the long route every Wednesday. There were times when we'd be overbooked or something like that on our hook truck route. We needed to do it. About being earlier, being late.
Who was in charge of booking?
That came out of Dickinson dispatch.
And in those instances when you were overbooked, did you express your schedule to someone?
I just made a comment to James or Greg.
And were you provided additional help?
There were a couple times we could get a little bit of help from Dickinson or Water City guys.
During your employment, how far of an area did you cover?
I went from Baker down as far as Sturgis, Belfouche area, Dickinson once in a while, Bowman, Levna. I did go to Circle a couple of times. Ekalaka, people.
How many drivers were there when you started?
When I first started, there was
I'm sorry, there were how many?
3.
Were there ever alterations to the route that you were set to pick up?
Not specifically, it was, you know, just if we had a lot going on. It would change.
So in these overbooking instances, and there's some roll-off containers that need attention, is that correct?
Yes,
Who would make the decision as to priority?
James.
Were you allowed to get overtime?
Yes, at times. We were really busy, but it was always a question.
Were there any times where there was a garbage truck or both garbage trucks out of commission?
Yes,
How often did that happen?
that was quite frequently. We try to make repairs to the best we could with what we had to work with.
Were you provided the materials to make the repairs?
At times, it was difficult. We'd go over to the city and ask them if they had any spare parts. Had the same kind of truck at the time.
Could you repeat that last sentence, please?
The city and G&G had the same kind of garbage truck at the time.
And you were asking the city because it was difficult to get parts?
We needed the parts now, and it seemed like sometimes it was always a question why you need them. Can you just make it work?
Were there any times when you had to find an alternate truck to use?
Yes, when both trucks were broke down, I contacted the manager, the boss over at the city office, see if we could use their spare truck.
And were you able to make those arrangements?
Yes,
And you made those arrangements yourself?
yes.
Were you ever promoted?
Yes,
And what was your position when you were promoted?
manager.
What was the last date that you worked for G&G?
Say March of 2021.
And when you, just prior to exiting in that last, during your last dates of employment, how many drivers were servicing this area?
2.
What was your rate of pay when you exited?
$25 an hour.
And which trucks were in service when you exited?
See, there was a gray Kenworth, don't remember the unit number, and a blue Kenworth, yeah, red Kenworth.
And are any of those the residential hydraulic arm?
No, they were the hook trucks and then of course we had the two garbage trucks.
And that would be unit 9 and unit 10.
Yes.
And were they operable when you left?
One of them wasn't, I believe it was, unit 10, that was the newest one.
What was wrong with it?
Hydraulics, electrical issues.
Was it being repaired?
Not when I left it, but
Did you ever fail a DOT inspection?
yes,
And what truck was that with?
it was with the red Kenworth.
What was the reason?
Had a slack adjuster that was broke. That's on the brakes. And then several air leaks.
Had you previously attempted to address those concerns with any of your supervisors?
Yes,
And were your concerns, did they address them?
they told me I needed to get the job done.
But those, were those issues fixed after you reported them?
Yes, when I got the DOT shutdown at Beach, they gave me the opportunity to go to the Case IH dealer there and they were able to get the problems fixed on the job.
Were you ever told or promised new equipment?
We got told during the kickoff meeting that we were gonna be getting new equipment. Never did, not the baker.
How often were you told that?
Just about every year at the kickoff meetings.
And who made those statements?
Mr. Desmond.
When you exited employment, was that your choice or were you asked to?
It was my choice.
So you quit?
Yes,
I don't believe I have any other questions.
I see that it's 12 o'clock, and I think this witness is gonna take some considerable time. So let's break for lunch and be back here. It's 1:10. We'll go off the record.
Is that okay?
That works for me. Can you come in?
It's